Time can only move forward. Like the hands that circle around the clock, humanity moves forward into a simple routine with little variation. Yet there are moments where one wishes to move those hands backwards, or pause in the past. The closest way people have been able to grip onto the past and relive it is through their memories. While they can be materially transformed, the strongest of memories stem from powerful emotion.
The Southern Gothic genre captures this theme, which is utilized through many works. Southern Gothic has an exclusive definition which forces on calamitous events, leaving characters in turmoil, while portraying an eerie atmosphere through copious, vivid descriptions. These descriptions, depicted through imagery, are based on themes of decay and the unfavorable, unamendable change that occurs as time goes by. Memories of extravagance, anger, loneliness, and routine linger within the emotions of the characters of Southern Gothic stories. The only results in death and misfortune.
I'll have revenge upon Fortunato, smile in his face.
This theme of being stuck in the past is exemplified in the short stories The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe, A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor, and A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner, where the unnerving imagery sets an atmosphere of darkness. The short stories follow a set of characters lost in the past, leaving their lives spiraling towards demise. The obsession with the past leads them to fantasize about a future that either corrects or follows the same life as their past, preventing them to move forward. Without moving forward, their lives take turns down different paths, always resulting in death. Their decisions are ruled by their memories and ruminating emotions. Overall, these Southern Gothic works use the powerful notion of death to portray how being stuck in the past essentially leaves one with no future. In The Cask of Amontillado, Poe's main character, Montresor, meets an old friend at a carnival. The scene of the carnival is like a show, just as Montresor is putting on a facade when he confronts Fortunato, the man whom Montresor vows revenge upon. He greets him in a friendly manner. Montresor acts as though there is no ill will between them, even though Fortunato has wronged Montresor in the past. As the two walk into the Amontillado,
passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descending again, arrived at a deep crypt in which the foulness of the air caused our torches to glow rather than flame. At the most remote end of the crypt there appeared another room, less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains, piled to the vault overhead in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. Three sides of this interior crypt were still ornamented in this manner. From the fourth, the bones had been thrown down and lay in a mound upon the earth.
the setting reveals itself to follow the themes of Southern Gothics with an unnerving atmosphere and eerie surroundings. The dark catacombs become small confined, a crypt with bones strewn across the walls. The walls house moss and decay. The smell of death and misery reeks in the air. After being provided with the awareness about Montresor's vengeful attitude towards Fortunato, the cask foreshadows towards Fortunato's soon met doom. Deeper and deeper into the cellar, Montresor seems to lose his composure. He implores for Fortunato to leave before something bad happens to him. It was as if Montresor was realizing that his anger and desire for revenge was about to cause him to lose all control of his actions. As Fortunato ignores his last chance of escape, Montresor begins to grow excited. Throughout the story, Montresor provides the impression of being calm and collected. He has a reserved, introverted behavior. However, as he starts to bury Fortunato alive, excitement rushes through his words and actions. His general disposition changes drastically to more enthusiastic and eccentric. Finally, Poe utilizes the theme of being stuck in the past. The urge to exact revenge, which has ravened through Montresor, has finally built up until it can no longer be contained. He is stuck in this insult from the past and cannot let it go. Poe uses revenge as a catalyst to spark the disaster that can befall a person overcome with hatred. Montresor claimed that Fortunato had many people that cared for him. However, Montresor still plots his revenge, premeditates murder, and kills Fortunato. This shows how Montresor's obsession with a grudge from the past caused him to take the future of Fortunato. As Fortunato can be heard no more, Montresor explains.
Heartless. It must be on account of the dampness of the catacombs.
I hastened to make an end of my labor. I forced the last stone into place and plastered it up. For centuries, no mortal has disturbed them. In pace requiescat.
Montresor even states how he has re-erected the bones from the past murders, showing his need to ruminate in what has been done before. This catacomb has been a tomb for centuries, and Montresor feels compelled to continue the tradition from the past. This obsession may only result in death and more deaths until death has consumed all life around Montresor. In the end, the past, the murder, the death, sickens even Montresor. He is so consumed by his need for revenge that in the end he is left with a sickened feeling after walking away from the scene.
This life of being lost in the past is led by many characters in Southern Gothic tales. A Good Man is Hard to Find, written by Flannery O'Connor, is an exemplary Southern Gothic story, focusing on an older character obsessed with the past. The grandmother, while on a road trip with her family, tells stories of her youth to her grandchildren to keep them pacified. She recalls an old plantation and house that enchanted her when she was younger, and wonders if it looks the same now as it did then.
They drove off again into the hot afternoon. The grandmother took cat naps and woke up every few minutes with her own snoring. Outside of Toomsboro, she woke up and recalled an old plantation that she had visited in this neighborhood once when she was a young lady. She said the house had 6 white columns across the front.
Bailey, however, the man driving the car, would not want to visit this house. Here the two characters contrast greatly. Bailey wants to move forward while the grandmother is stuck in the past. The narrator shows this as she writes,
He and the grandmother discussed better times. The old lady said that in her opinion, Europe was entirely to blame for the way things were now. She said the way Europe acted, you would think we were made of money. And Red Sam said it was no use talking about it. She was exactly right.
This need to go back in time is ultimately what ends the grandmother's time, because she makes up a story to visit the house by enticing the children to go. However, she soon realizes the house she remembered was not there where she thought it was, and now they were all lost. Riding along a bumpy road, the car flips over, but this family is not seriously hurt, solely because the grandmother wanted to see a house from her previous years. The whole family is put in danger. The serial killer, the misfit, soon comes across the stranded family, where he kills each member before finally putting the grandmother to rest. Even in her last moments, the grandmother insists that he is from good people, meaning his past, his upbringing, and the important factors influencing his life. She believes the past is the only way to leave a future. The misfit even goes on to talk about his past.
I was a gospel singer for a while, the misfit said. I've been most everything. Been in the armed service, both land and sea, at home and abroad. Been twice married, been an undertaker. Been with the railroads, proud Mother Earth. Been in a tornado. Seen a man burn alive once. And he looked at the children's mother and the little girl, who was sitting close together, their faces white and their eyes glassy. I even seen a woman flogged.
The misfit also gets stuck in his past. He talks about the times before jail and tries to justify himself. Instead of being a bad guy, he's just a different kind of guy. Grandmother also gets wrapped up in everything from the past, believing it is the key to saving her family and self from the murderer. She thinks that she can make a personal connection with the misfit and befriends him to persuade him from murdering them all. Grandmother believes where he came from, his family will dictate whether he is a good man or not. She believes the past can atone for the future. In the end, the family is murdered, and the misfit is still his murdering, heartless self, all because the grandmother was stuck in her past. Her family was murdered, and soon after she was. This Gothic tale takes a twist down a surprising path once the grandmother tries to influence the future with the past.
A Rose for Emily is another Southern Gothic story whose characters are embedded in the past. The main character, Emily Grayson, is a high-class woman who wants to live the future like her past. A sheriff once told Emily that she did not have to pay taxes. Therefore, when times change and the new sheriff tries to collect taxes from her, she sticks to the old ways, protesting against paying the taxes. Additionally, the story takes place during the Industrial Revolution. During this time, engines of all sorts were being created to make life more productive and efficient. That came along with economic success and America started to change. The old was replaced by the new. Small houses were replaced with apartments and larger houses. However, as the buildings around her home changed, the house of Emily Grayson stayed the same. Her house was not renovated like the others. Her house remained stubborn, old, and it began to decay. Also, when her father died, she denied its happening.
The day after his death, all the ladies prepared to call at the house and offer condolence and aid, as is our custom. Miss Emily met them at the door, dressed as usual, with no trace of grief on her face. She told them that her father was not dead. She did that for 3 days, with the ministers calling on her and the doctors trying to persuade her to let them dispose of the body. Just as they were about to resort to law and force, she broke down, and they buried her father quickly.
She insisted to matricians and doctors that her father was not dead. This is also an example of being stuck in the past where her father was still alive and she was not alone. She became a recluse, but then she met a man who she had affection for. This man was named Homer Barron. When Homer broke her heart, Emily went and bought arsenic to murder him, and afterwards she kept his body.
The man himself lay in the bed. For a long while we just stood there, looking down at the profound and fleshless grin. The body had apparently once lain in the attitude of an embrace, but now the long sleep that outlasts love, that conquers even the grimace of love, had cuckolded him. What was left of him, rotted beneath what was left of the nightshirt, had become inextricable from the bed in which he lay. And upon him, and upon the pillow beside him, lay that even coating of the patient and biding dust. Then we noticed that in the second pillow was the indentation of a head. One of us lifted something from it, and leaning forward, that faint and invisible dry dust and acrid in the nostrils, we saw a long strand of iron grey hair.
With his body near her every night, Emily felt as if time could not take him from her. Storing Homer's body caused the neighborhood to stay away from Emily because her house smelled awful. She lost touch with her community and had to live her life in her home. She was obsessed with not losing Homer the same way she lost her father. Because of that obsession, she gave up living her own life so she can sleep near his rotting body every night.
Holding on to hate, or the past reveals a state of human nature, Southern Gothic portrays the darker side of human nature, where people are unable to let go of their past. They cling onto the old times where it brings comfort, passion, or purpose. However, time only moves forward, so this holds onto the past commonly leads down a dark, twisted path of death. The 3 short stories demonstrate this curse of the past that haunts and torments the characters until the twisting truth is revealed. These 3 Gothic works prove that holding on to the past means sacrificing the future by taking revenge, recollection, and love to the extreme.